It's time for Fight News Now Extra, and it's a packed one today as Robin Black and I will tell you all of the big news that went down over the past 24 hours, including the fallout of Wednesday's Nevada State Athletic Commission hearing, and we have a new main event for UFC 178. It was revealed on Wednesday afternoon that light heavyweight Alexander Gustafsson had suffered a torn meniscus and he is out of the light heavyweight title main event for UFC 178 on September the 27th. In his place to challenge Jon Jones will be Daniel Cormier, who got the news early Wednesday and agreed to take the fight and will avoid his upcoming knee surgery that he was planning to have. John Ramdine and our crew are down in San Jose, California, and spoke with Cormier about receiving the title fight.
For you, when you come into AKA, do you specifically think about Jon Jones and things that you need to do to combat his style and his abilities?
Every day, every day I train for Jon Jones. He's the best guy in the world. He's the champion in my weight division. I am of a firm belief that if you train for number one, it takes care of 2, 3, 4, and 5, and everybody else down the line. So I train for Jon Jones every day of my career.
The Nevada State Athletic Commission held their hearing on Wednesday and voted unanimously to approve Vitor Belfort for a license in the state, with the promise that Belfort's next fight would be in Nevada, which it will be, as the UFC was quick to announce that Chris Weidman versus Vitor Belfort will headline the December 6th UFC 181 card in Las Vegas. Belfort was facing a suspension and fine after his testosterone levels were found to be over the allowable limit when he was randomly tested back in February. And also on the agenda at the Nevada hearing was Chael Sonnen's case, and he received a much stiffer penalty with a 2-year suspension along with the promise to work alongside the commission to assist with drug testing procedures. The suspension doesn't prevent Sonnen from doing analyst work, but all but puts an end to his career, as he would be 39 years old when he is eligible to fight again, and had already announced his retirement following his first of 2 drug test failures over the past 2 months. And I am joined by Robin Black. And Robin, we had a day that was busier than the pattern on your shirt on Wednesday. We're going to get to all of the fallout of the Nevada hearing, but let's start off with UFC 178. We were talking earlier this week about what a loaded card this was. They lose one of the members of the main event, but in comes Daniel Cormier to fight Jon Jones. This might be one case where people were really stoked, but maybe even more excited because this is a fresh fight for Jon Jones and a fight that we always knew was probably going to happen. We're just getting it earlier than expected.
Yeah, what's that old saying? One door closes and a badass fight starts. Like, this is good. This is very good. This is very exciting. This guy's undefeated. He's a real threat. It's a new fight, like you said. I want to see Gustafsson fight Jones again. I want to see how Jones does. I suspect he's going to be the guy to make the bigger and better changes, over the last fight. But I think this fight personally excites me more.
It's very interesting. I mean, a lot of people, they're going to look at, as always with Jon Jones, that reach factor. I mean, let's not forget, Daniel Cormier is a guy who went in against a much larger Antonio Silva. Not to say they're the same fighter or style, but we have seen Daniel Cormier cut off size very effectively.
Yeah, and what happens, I mean, in some ways, it's a simple assignment. Your job is simple assignment. Your job is to get inside the reach. Because once you got that body lock, you got to believe you got this thing under control. You get in, and you get into that space. He's got a beautiful clinch against the fence. We've never really seen Jones with his back to the fence a lot. Cormier, you saw how he threw Dan Henderson to different size, but you see what he's capable of on the inside. So all he's got to do is get inside that reach.
Now, I have a joke for you. 2 fighters walk into a bar and both get popped randomly. One gets a 2-year suspension, the other gets a title fight coming out of this. I mean, obviously not the exact same cases, but certainly it felt like one guy was, pretty much not even given a slap on the wrist if you're Vitor Belfort. The promise that, hey, my next fight will be in Nevada. The UFC had that press release ready to go. They were ready to hit send.
I got it
as
seconds
soon
later.
as that hearing ended. Whereas Chael Sonnen, they really threw the book at him. Anthony Marnell was pushing for a lifetime ban. He got 2 years, which, let's be honest, Robin, he'll be 39. This almost could be a lifetime ban, essentially. I would be stunned if he fights again.
He retired, right? I mean, we're all happy, aren't we? This just turned out perfectly. Vitor gets to fight for the title. The UFC literally did press send. The second that was over, it popped up in my inbox, in my email. The press release announcing Vitor's fight seconds later.
They were very confident of what was going to happen.
They're happy. Chael's happy. because he was retired anyways. And not only now does he not get a fine, and it really doesn't affect his life, but he gets to go out and improve his image by educating people on the adverse effects of taking PEDs. Like, I don't know what those are. You know, almost beating Anderson Silva, getting a couple title shots, becoming a multimillionaire, all those adverse effects. He gets to educate everybody. It turned out great.
Is Chael Sonnen going to be brought back to the UFC within this 2-year time period?
Yes, he will. It's just such an interesting turn of events that slap on the wrist and, hey, come out with us. And become the guy that goes out and tells people how bad steroids is. Walk around there, educate the people, show them you're a new man. I mean, you're almost handing him the route to get his gig back on Fox. Everybody's happy. Turned out great.
I sense a lot of sarcasm coming from Robin Black. There's nothing to absolutely scoff at. Vitor Belfort and Chris Weidman, is this, if there is anything here, the fact he's not walking away with a suspension, even a fine, I do believe he is going to be heavily tested going into this Chris Weidman fight. Is that a victory here in the sense that you really get that tone from Nevada, that they are going to be continuing with this very aggressive drug testing policy we've seen over the last few months?
Well, they caught Chael with the EPO and the HGH, which is apparently really hard to detect. And if they're going to show up at Vitor's house at 4 in the morning, show up at noon and stuff, if he's doing anything, they're going to catch him. And it's going to be, honestly, hard to go from, a testosterone replacement that elevates your test up to these high levels to no testosterone at all. If you needed it in the first place, your test levels are going to be so low, you're not going to win this fight. If you didn't need it in the first place, or you're finding ways to circumvent it, your test levels are going to be pretty good. We'll have to see. It's all a bit goofy, really.
I know John Ramney is kicking himself that he didn't get to be part of this big hearing. He loves chatting about this stuff.
He got to talk to Daniel Cormier, so that was pretty good.
We've got more Fight News Now Extra. Stay tuned.